Chefeteers, I'm Chef Nakia and I want you to be more confident in the kitchen and with your relationship with food. And this video today, what does healthy mean to you, is going to be more on that side of health and nutrition and your relationship with food. If you're looking for cooking tips, meal prepping, meal planning, cooking at home, I have other videos about that, so subscribe to the channel, hang out, go check those out if that's what you're looking for. But today's conversation is going to be definitely more your relationship with food and health. And you may ask, okay, you're a chef, not a nutritionist or dietitian, so why are you talking about health or a relationship with food? It's because throughout my career, I have had a lot of questions from people about nutrition. When someone hears I'm a chef, about 50% of the time, they're asking for like nutrition advice. And I'm gonna be honest, I've struggled with this a bit because yes, in my education to become a chef, I did have a nutrition class, and I do think that that side of food is interesting to a degree. But I'm not here to tell anybody what they should or should not be doing or what healthy should or should not mean to anybody. Health is extremely individual and nuanced, and when asking the question, what does healthy mean to you, I truly believe that each and every one of us gets to determine that for ourselves, and we should determine that based off of our own thoughts and feelings and not like a bunch of messaging out there. So for today's conversation, I am not answering like, what does healthy mean to you? What I'm going to do is ask some questions to get you thinking, and hopefully you can take some time in deep thought and journaling, if that's how you work best, to determine for yourself, what do I want healthy to mean for me? And the reason why I think it's very important for us each to create this strong internal compass is because we have a lot of messaging coming at us all of the time from diet culture, from people trying to sell their supplements and plans and all kinds of things to us. And whenever we have a strong answer that feels very aligned about what do I consider healthy, what does healthy look like in my life, it makes it so much easier to ignore or say no to all of those sales pitches that try to sell you on things that honestly, like, it can be harmful. It can be harmful messaging. So I think that whenever we have a strong understanding of ourselves, and we can tune out stuff that isn't going to benefit us, then it will truly be like a positive in our lives with our relationship with food, and it can go even beyond our relationship with food. There is no like moral superiority to being healthy or living a healthy life as we define it. Whenever we think about our values in life, we're all gonna have different values that we want to prioritize above or below others. So you can prioritize health in your life wherever you want it to be. I am not here to judge you, and nobody else should judge you for that. You get to make that decision for yourself. So where do you want to prioritize health? And I think that you can think about that as prioritizing in kind of a competitive, like, okay, there are only certain things that can be number one, number two, number three priorities. Or you can think about it in relationship to other things. So it doesn't have to be this competitive of like, I can either spend time on money or health. It can be that you want to prioritize different things in your life in relationship with others. And so there's not this competitive feeling of like only one can be number one. And if you want to do it that way, do it that way. But I'm just trying to say that like there could be creative ways to think about how you could prioritize things, and maybe more of a flow type of way and not a super structured hierarchical hierarchy type way. And so when we're talking about our goals in life and what we want our lives to look like, again, that's very individual. No, a lot of times everybody's gonna have a pretty different idea of what they want their life to look like. It's gonna be very unique to you. And so based on your life's goals, I think that based on what our life's goals are, our health is gonna fall to different priority places and relationships. So, you know, if somebody's life goal is to climb every single 14er or go and climb Mount Everest, then they're probably going to have health prioritized in a slightly different way than people who don't have that goal to climb 14ers. So it would be very silly, if that's not your goal, it would be very silly for you to be comparing yourself to somebody who does have that goal and trying to prioritize all of the things in your lives along the same lines as someone whose life goal is very different than your own. And this is one way in which sometimes we can get a little stuck in the messaging when somebody is trying to sell us something that we really don't want. And if we look at truly where our goals in life are and our priorities in life, it's very easy to then say like, oh yeah, no, I don't need that. Like, I don't need something that will get me ready to climb Mount Everest whenever I really don't even want to travel internationally, let alone like climb a 14er. I just like going on, you know, beautiful walks around my local neighborhood park. That fills me up plenty. When you think about what you want to accomplish in life, and without any judgment or without any thoughts of like what I should be accomplishing, what do you truly feel drawn to accomplish, then that will give you a little bit more clarity too on like how you want to prioritize things. You can also ask yourself, what emotions do I want to feel more of? What do I want to embrace in my life? Like experience-wise too. I think emotions and experiences can go hand in hand very well. So it doesn't just have to be accomplishments, but you know, you can ask yourself, okay, what do I want to experience more in my life? And then I think also really getting down to how do I define health and being healthy? What does that mean to me right now? What do I want that to mean for myself? Because we get to choose how we want to define healthy for ourselves. Maybe getting more hours of sleep each night might make me feel healthier. And it doesn't have to be that there's a change. It can also be that the daily walk that I go on when I walk my dog makes me feel healthy. And that's awesome. And I want to keep doing that. So this isn't like make a list of habits that you want to change or anything like that, but it's getting as specific as you want to get with what makes me feel healthy. What do I want to define healthy as? And as much as you can, try to ignore the shoulds out there and really feel the answer within yourself. So once you've, defined what you want healthy to mean for you, and you look at, especially like your long-term goals, any sort of like life achievements and whatnot, then looking at those two things together, I think what can really help you to prioritize aspects of your life in a way that feels very true to you and not to what anybody says we should or should not be doing. So I do believe that defining what is healthy for me, and only me, also helps us reduce stress, which helps our health. Hi, as you can see, it's a different day, so I was editing this video and I realized that I completely missed a topic that is really important to talk about. And so I did not want to publish this video, I didn't want to put it out there without coming back and filming what I missed to round out the conversation and make sure that I addressed everything that I had originally planned to. So, hello from Chef Nakia from a different day. In this video, I've been talking about how important it is for us to define what healthy means for ourselves and to prioritize health in whatever way we see fit for ourselves. And then the next step is we can determine and define what health promoting activities we feel like fit into our lives. And those health promoting activities may be centered around food and nutrition, exercise, mental health and like therapy and counseling, and also health as in, going to annual doctor's appointments and getting health screenings and things like that. And you get to choose what health promoting activities you want to incorporate into your life. And we have to remember that each of us has different access to different health promoting activities. We don't all have the same access to the same places, education, and activities. So access to healthcare and access to health promoting activities is a very important part of this conversation around, how do we define health and what does healthy mean to us? For example, when we're talking about access to food and different types of food, there's a big difference between living within 10 minutes of 4 different grocery stores and farmers markets on weekends and living 50, 60 miles away from the nearest fresh market. There's a big difference between owning a car and being able to drive to the grocery store and using public transportation. Also using public transportation and not having a cart or some kind of, tool to help you carry your groceries back to your home. Walking up 10 flights of stairs, because maybe the elevator always goes out in your building, is very different than parking in a garage and walking up, maybe you have 2 stairs between the garage and your kitchen, the door to your kitchen. Our access is very different depending on where we live and, what else is going on in our lives. And also the time that we have. If it is a 2-hour commute to make it to the grocery store and then another 2 hours coming home from the grocery store, maybe that's because of public transportation, whatnot, then you're not going to necessarily be able to buy the same things as somebody who can make it home from the grocery store in less than 10 minutes, right? Dairy and meat shouldn't be out of refrigeration for longer than 2 hours. Also, your frozen items are going to thaw considerably in 2 hours unless you pack yourself up with ice packs and everything for that journey. And so that the time that it can take from the grocery store or market back home can have a big impact on the types of things that you are going to be able to buy. And let's remember, canned fruits and canned vegetables are still fruits and vegetables. They still have a lot of vitamins and nutrients, and for some people, the canned items are actually going to be the healthiest and the safest because of the amount of time that it might take to get those home, or the frequency with which someone can go to the grocery store. And so those canned items are going to last a lot longer than, a fresh tomato. A moldy fresh tomato is by no means healthier than a canned tomatoes. Your canned tomatoes are going to be so much healthier and better and more flavorful. Not to mention the financial burden of buying fresh produce, not being able to eat it, and it going bad. That's wasted money there too. But we're really focusing on access and the time that it could take. And so the principles that apply to access, like a lack of time in potentially accessing the same level of groceries, can also apply to exercise. Is your home large enough to work out in? And if you cannot work out in your home, do you have safe places around you to work out? Like, are there safe and accessible parks? Are there sidewalks around where you live? Is your schedule conducive to working out whenever you have time to work out? For example, If you work from 4 a.m. until 6 p.m., the only times that you have available to work out will be at night, when the sun is no longer up. I guess depending on where you live, right? In the peak of summer, maybe you have a little bit of light, but really you're going to be working out during night hours, and that can be dangerous if you live somewhere where there are a lot of busy roads and you are concerned about maybe like cars not seeing you, people driving cars not seeing you. Or maybe the opportunity that you have to work out is right in the middle of the day, but you live somewhere that consistently gets temperatures above 100 degrees, 110, 115 degrees. It's very dangerous and unhealthy to work out outside in Phoenix at noon in July. Depending on where we live, where in our schedule we have time, and what proximity we live to places is absolutely going to determine our access or our ability to actually access those places. You could live really close to a beautiful, safe park, but your schedule does not allow you to access it as often as you would like. And then, of course, there are like gyms, like you can go get a membership at a gym, but do you have a gym that's, in a convenient enough location to you? Because if you have to drive 45 minutes just to get to the gym, it's going to be pretty difficult to fit that into your schedule. It's going to be difficult for a lot of people to fit that into their schedule. And again, there is the financial cost and the financial burden of having a gym membership. So access to safe places to work out is not something to be taken for granted. And then with the education piece, there are ways that you can hurt yourself if you aren't exercising in the best ways for your body. So if you're lifting something heavy and twisting your back, you could end up hurting your back, which is definitely going to be unhealthy. So understanding the proper ways to work out for your unique body is another very important part of accessing the exercise piece. And lastly, and certainly not the least important by any means, but access to healthcare. And again, this is going to be very dependent on where you live. I live in the United States, and so access to healthcare is not equitable. And I'm not going to get super political by any means, but it is just a fact that we do not all have the same access to healthcare. And that can be your primary physician, your annual checkups, teledoc type services, where you can get immediate advice or explanation as soon as you notice symptoms or anything like that. Can be health screenings, vaccines, and health insurance. Having health insurance is very important to how you are going to be able to access healthcare, and being able to access preventative care is going to be very important in long-term health. Whenever we have access to preventative care and health screenings, oftentimes we can catch symptoms earlier, and earlier diagnosis can have a huge impact. Things like nutrition, movement, sleep, and taking care of your mental health are all important. But healthcare, the whole word is centered around health. And so if we only discuss nutrition and movement, and we don't even talk about access to preventative care, annual checkups, and health screenings, we are really ignoring a big part of what goes into keeping us healthy. Sometimes you'll hear people say, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And usually that is followed up with some sort of phrase that is meant to make you feel guilty that you aren't doing enough for your health. The reality is, yes, for all of us, one day is 24 hours long. But our obligations within the day are very different. We all have different obligations and priorities of what we want to do and are able to do with our time. Some people sleep for more hours. Some people work for longer hours. Some people have a longer commute. Some people have caregiving like demands on their time that take up a huge amount of their day. Some people can afford to hire like a laundry service and house cleaning and lawn care specialists and a personal chef to come in and cook for them. Not everybody can afford those things. And whenever we hear somebody talking about or saying anything along the lines of, if I can fit it in my busy day, then so can you, right? If I can fit an hour-long workout and an hour of food preparation into my day, anybody can. That's not fair, because not everybody has the exact same obligations. That person may have not done laundry for the past 5 years because they can hire it out. Or maybe they do laundry, but they work for 5 hours a day. Or there's so many different things, right? Because we are all different. We all have different obligations on our time, demands of our time, and priorities of what we want to do within our days. So the next time you hear somebody say something along the lines of, we all have the same 24 hours, or if I can do it, you can do it. You can choose to take it in a motivational way. If you are in the place to take that in a motivational way of, yes, I really want to do this and I'm going to allow them to inspire me, then I get it, totally fine. But if you hear that and you feel a sense of guilt, please remind yourself that the two of you do not have the same exact obligations. You probably aren't going to know exactly what their budget is, how they spend all of the hours of their day, if you are a parent and they are a parent or not a parent, or taking care of their aging parents. You don't know what their daily or weekly schedules, what their obligations, and what their priorities are compared to your own. And so remind yourself, we're not the same person. And it's okay. That's great if they have time to do that, but that doesn't mean that intrinsically I'm going to have time to do that. It's really, really important that we are realistic about what financially we can afford, what like time-wise we can afford, how much energy, physical energy and mental energy we have, and what our desires around how we prioritize health. No one else can decide that other than ourselves, right? We need to look internally. Those are things that we look internally for. I mean, maybe also using like your bank app in your calendar, but for the most part, internally, we need to evaluate and decide for ourselves what feels best and what can we realistically and like desirably accomplish. So I'm gonna put you back into wherever I was in the conversation the first time I filmed. So I'm gonna say bye because it's bye for today, but you're just gonna see more of me in a second. So thank you, Chefeteers, and let's get back to whatever I was saying before. And then once you've decided what does healthy mean to you, I encourage you to, in conversations with other people, remember that your definition for yourself is not going to be the same as other people's definition for themselves. And we each get to create our own definition for what healthy means to us and how we want to prioritize. And if the conversation does, come up around health and you're with people, I urge you to be in that conversation in an energy of curiosity and not judgment about your own definition of health compared to others, right? I think curiosity can be helpful. It can help us relate to other people, learn new things, and expand our definition of health. But it doesn't mean that you have to expand your definition of health. So I think curiosity is a good way to lead if you are in conversations about health, where sure, you can hear other people's ideas and opinions on what healthy means for themselves, and then you can take that information and choose how much or how little of it you want to potentially include in your own definition of what healthy means for you. So whether you've already seen a couple of my videos about relationship with food and health and nutrition, or if you watch any in the future, please remember this and use it as context. That way you understand where I come from, in that I am never here to judge or shame or define what health is for you. I believe that we all should define that for ourselves and remember that health is extremely individual and nuanced. And so whenever I talk about relationships with food or nutrition or anything like that, I am coming from this place of, but you all do your own thing. You do what you want to do. And I'm going to share some ideas and some of my own opinions, but really at the end of the day, I always want people to look at it through the lens of their own understanding of health. And if you disagree with me, that is completely fine. I think one of the best things that we can do is define, for yourself, what does healthy mean to me? And then allow everybody around us to have their own definition, and honor that we each get to prioritize health and other aspects of life in whatever way we want to. Thank you, Chefeteers, for joining me today. I'll be putting up new videos every other Wednesday, so be sure to subscribe if you want more videos like this, or if you want videos about meal prepping, meal planning, and cooking at home. That is the majority of my content, is a lot more like tactical chef skills and helping busy people, especially busy parents, find more time and joy in cooking at home. But like I said, I think that having a positive relationship with food is an important part of life and of our conversation about food. So you'll get these things from me every once in a while about, like, let's have healthy relationships with food, meaning there's no guilt and no shame invited to the dinner table.